The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, Spanish, Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, CJNG, Los Zetas and Los Torcidos, is a semi-militarized Mexican criminal group based in Jalisco and headed by Nemesio Oscar Cervantes, El Mencho, one of Mexico's most wanted drug lords. The CJNG are currently fighting La Nueva Plaza Cartel for control of the city of Guadalajara, Jalisco, Los Viagras for the state of Michoacán, Los Zetas for the city of Puebla, the Sinaloa Cartel in Tijuana and Baja California, the Cartel de Juarez in Ciudad Juarez, and the Santa Rosa de Lima Cartel in Guanajuato. The CJNG also operates in the states of Nayarit and Colima. While this cartel is best known for its fights against the Zetas, it has also been battling La Resistencia for control of Jalisco and its surrounding territories. Jalisco New Generation Cartel started as one of the splits of Milenio Cartel, the other being La Resistencia. La Resistencia accused CJNG of giving up Oscar Valencia, El Lobo, to the authorities and called them Los Torcidos, the Twisted Ones. Jalisco Cartel defeated La Resistencia and took control of Milenio Cartel's smuggling networks. Jalisco New Generation Cartel expanded its operation network from coast to coast in only 6 months, making it one of the criminal groups with the greatest operating capacity in Mexico as of 2012. The Sinaloa Cartel, led by Joaquin Guzman Lora, aka El Chapo, has used the Jalisco New Generation Cartel as its armed wing to fight off Los Zetas and Guzman's turf and to carry out incursions to other territories like Nuevo Laredo and Veracruz in the past. Through online videos, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel has tried to seek society's approval and tacit consent from the Mexican government to confront Los Zetas by posing as a righteous and nationalistic group. Such claims have stoked fears that Mexico, just like Colombia a generation before, may be witnessing the rise of paramilitary drug gangs. By 2018, the CJNG became the second most powerful cartel in Mexico. In 2018, CJNG co-founder Eric Valencia Salazar and former high-ranking CJNG leader Carlos Enrique Sanchez left the cartel and co-founded a rival cartel called the Nueva Plaza Cartel. In March 2019, Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy introduced a bill that would list the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the Gulf Cartel and the Cartel del Noreste faction, the Los Zetas, as foreign terrorist organizations. United States President Donald Trump had also expressed interest in designating cartels as terrorist organizations. However, he has since delayed plans to designate cartels as terrorist organizations at the request of Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. By 2020, the U.S. considered the cartel its biggest criminal drug threat. History with the capture of Oscar Orlando Nava Valencia and the death of Ignacio Coronel Villarreal, of the Sinaloa Cartel, a power vacuum emerged and the Milenio Cartel, then loyal to the Sinaloa Cartel, broke into smaller factions. Being the most notable the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, headed by Nemesio Oscar, El Mencho, who suspected the Sinaloa Cartel had betrayed their leaders, and La Resistencia headed by Ramiro Pozos, El Mocha, who switched alliances to form a brief alliance with Los Zetas. La Resistencia was founded by Sinaloa to counter Los Zetas, and started a turf war for the control of the region. Some members of the Milenio Cartel, then a Sinaloa Cartel branch, who splintered and formed the CJNG, were Nemesio Oscar Cervantes, El Mencho, Eric Valencia Salazar, L85, and Martin Arzola Ortega, L53. With this split, a turf war against La Resistencia, headed by Ramiro Pozos, El Mocha, and Los Zetas for the control of the region started. First appearance. In June 2009, inside an abandoned truck in a residential neighborhood in Cancun, Quintana Roo, the Mexican authorities discovered the corpses of 3 men. Along with their remains was found the following message: "We are the new group Zetas, Zeta killers, and we are against kidnapping and extortion, and we will fight them in all states for a cleaner Mexico." These murdered men were then linked to individuals who had been shown in a video on YouTube while being interviewed by masked men armed with assault rifles. A number of videos online confirmed the existence of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, which was dedicated at that time to kill Gulf Cartel and Zeta members alike. In the interrogation videos done by the Zetas, the captured cartel members confessed their criminal activities and gave out the names of police commanders and politicians who provided them with protection. According to Terror Networks, the government agency of the SIDO received a phone call on the 1st of July 2009 from an unidentified man who said that the cartel members of Los Zetas were going to be kidnapped and eliminated from Cancun and Veracruz. 2011-2012 Veracruz massacres. 2011 Veracruz massacres. In spring 2011, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel declared war on all other Mexican cartels and stated its intention to take control of the city of Guadalajara. However, by midsummer, the group appeared to have been reunited with its former partners in the Sinaloa cartel. In addition to maintaining its anti-Zetas alliance with the Gulf Cartel, the Sinaloa cartel in 2011 affiliated itself with the Knights Templar in Michoacan. To counter Los Zetas in the state of Jalisco, the Sinaloa cartel affiliated itself with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. On the 20th of September 2011, 2 trucks containing 35 dead bodies were found at an underpass near a shopping mall in Boca del Rio, Veracruz. All of the corpses were alleged to be members of Los Zetas, but it was later proven that only 6 of them had been involved in minor crime incidents, and none of them was involved with organized crime. Some of the victims had their hands tied and showed signs of having been tortured. According to El Universal, at around 17:00, an undetermined number of vehicles blocked a major avenue in Boca del Rio. Once the traffic stopped, armed men abandoned 2 trucks in the middle of the highway. They opened the doors of the trucks and pulled out the 35 corpses, leaving a written message behind. Other gunmen pointed their weapons at the frightened drivers. The gunmen then fled the scene. Consequently, the stunned motorists began to grab their cell phones and post messages on Twitter warning other drivers to avoid the area. The message left behind stated the following: "No more extortions, no more killings of innocent people. Zetas in the state of Veracruz and politicians helping them. This is going to happen to you, or we can shoot you as we did to you guys before too. People of Veracruz, do not allow yourselves to be extorted. Do not pay for protection. If you do, it's because you want to. This is the only thing these people, Los Zetas, can do. This is going to happen to all the Zetas fucks who continue to operate in Veracruz." This territory has a new proprietor. The blog Del Narco reported on the 21st of September 2011 that the message was supposedly signed by Gente Nueva, an enforcer group that works for Joaquin Guzman Lora, the top boss of the Sinaloa cartel. Nonetheless, on the 27th of September 2011, the CJNG released a video claiming they had carried out these attacks. They apologized for the massacres in Veracruz but reiterated their efforts to fight off Los Zetas, who, they claimed, are not invincible. In the CJNG video, 5 men wearing balaclavas in completely black clothing are shown sitting behind a table. Then the man with the microphone states that the Zetas are warriors without a face, but proudly Mexicans, and that their objective is to eradicate Los Zetas. They claimed in the video that they respect the Mexican armed forces and understand the government's stance against the drug cartels. The men in the video state that they understand and respect the government's decision of refusing to negotiate with the cartels. They also criticize the politicians who have protected Los Zetas. In addition, they claim that the Zetas are prohibited to extort, kidnap, steal, abuse, or do anything that will affect the national patrimony, and that they are the armed wing of the Mexican people. On the 6th of October 2011 in Boca del Rio, Veracruz, 36 bodies were found by the Mexican authorities in 3 different houses. The Navy first discovered 20 bodies inside a house in a residential neighborhood. While searching at another house, they found 11 more bodies. The third and final house contained 1 body. 4 other bodies were confirmed separately by the state government of Veracruz. A day later, Reynaldo Escobar Perez, the state justice attorney general, stepped down and resigned due to the drug violence. And the day after his resignation, 10 more bodies were found throughout the city of Veracruz. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel was also responsible for 67 killings in Veracruz on the 7th of October, 2011. By the 9th of October 2011, in only 18 days, the state of Veracruz reported 100 killings. Operation Veracruz. In response to the multiple executions between the drug cartels, the federal government launched a military-led operation in the state of Veracruz, known in Spanish as Operativo Veracruz Seguro. In October 2011, the state of Veracruz was a disputed territory between Los Zetas and the Gulf Cartel and Sinaloa Cartel. Francisco Blake Mora, Secretary of the Interior at the time, said that the operation was implemented to serve the 5 following goals. 1. Deploy the armed forces and the federal police throughout the Veracruz to recuperate the areas controlled by the cartels. 2. Establish intelligence agencies to not only capture the cartel members, but to also dismantle their financial and operative networks. 3. Evaluate and inspect the police forces in Veracruz for any possible correlation with the cartels, in order to count with loyal police officers. 4. Increase the federal and state funding to improve security measures. 5. Ensure that the government is the only entity that carries out law and order. Continued attacks in 2012 Veracruz massacres. Despite the strong military presence, the authorities discovered 7 bodies inside a Ford Lobo on the 8th of October 2011 in Veracruz. On the 22nd of December 2011, 3 public buses were attacked by drug cartel members on Federal Highway 105 in Veracruz, leaving 16 dead. 3 U.S. citizens were among those dead. Soon after the shootouts, which happened in the early morning, the authorities carried out an operation to find those responsible, killing 5 gunmen. The U.S. Consulate in Matamoros asked Americans to avoid traveling on highways between cities in the late hours of the night. In Tampico Alto, Veracruz, on the 23rd of December 2011, the Mexican authorities found 10 dead bodies after an anonymous call from a citizen. The corpses were dumped on a dirt road, and all of them were handcuffed and presented signs of torture. 9 out of the 10 bodies were decapitated. Earlier in February 2011, Saturnino Valdez Llanos, the mayor of the municipality of Tampico Alto, was kidnapped in February 2011. His body was left in a garbage dump with 10 more bodies a week later. On the 25th of December 2011 near Tampico, Tamaulipas, a city on the border with Veracruz, 13 bodies were found inside an 18-wheeler truck. According to officials, the truck had license plates from Veracruz. Authorities indicated that this massacre was related to the other mass murders that had occurred in Veracruz. On the 9th of February 2012, the Mexican authorities exhumed 15 bodies from clandestine mass graves in Acayucan, Veracruz. According to government sources, by March 2012, the homicide rate in Veracruz and its surrounding territories has decreased. President Felipe Calderón attributed the low homicide rates to the Operation Veracruz, the military-led operation implemented in October 2011. On the 3rd of May 2012 in Boca del Rio, Veracruz, 3 photojournalists who covered the crime events in Veracruz were slain and dumped in several plastic bags in a canal. Press freedom groups indicated that the 3 journalists had temporarily fled Veracruz after receiving threats in 2011. Over the past 18 months, 7 journalists have been killed in Veracruz alone. There are only a few journalists reporting on crime-related stories in the state. Upon the arrest of several members of the cartel, the authorities confirmed in August 2012 that the CJNG was responsible for killing 5 journalists in Veracruz. 2011 Sinaloa massacre. On the 23rd of November 2011, a total of 26 bodies, 16 of them burned to death, were located in several abandoned vehicles in Sinaloa. The incident began at early hours of the morning in Culiacan, Sinaloa, with the discovery of a vehicle on fire. When the police forces managed to put down the flames, they found inside the vehicle a dozen of bodies burned to death, and with wood remains on top of them. All of the victims were handcuffed. Later on at 0700 hours, anonymous calls from civilians notified the police that another vehicle in the northern city limits of Culiacan was on fire. The vehicle on fire was a Ford Ranger, and inside were 4 bodies with bulletproof vests and handcuffed. During the night, 10 more bodies were found throughout several different municipalities. The killings were allegedly carried out by Los Zetas as a response to the massacres done by the Zetas, CJNG, in Veracruz. Stratford believes that this major move by Los Zetas into the territory of the Sinaloa cartel demonstrates the Zetas' ability to attack the heart of those cartels' territories. 2011-2012 Jalisco massacres. 2011 Guadalajara massacre. On the 24th of November 2011, 3 trucks containing 26 bodies were found in an avenue at Guadalajara, Jalisco. All of them were male corpses. At around 7 p.m., the Guadalajara police received numerous anonymous calls from civilians reporting that several vehicles with more than 10 bodies had been abandoned in a major avenue. Upon the arrival of the police forces, they found a green Dodge Caravan in the middle lane of the highway, along with a Nissan Caravan just 66 feet, 20 meters away. On the farthest right lane was a white van. Reports state that Los Zetas and the Mileño cartel are responsible for the massacre of these 26 alleged Sinaloa cartel members. In addition, in November 2011, 3 men from the Mileño cartel were arrested and linked to the massacre of the 26 people. The authorities concluded that only 6 of the 26 that were killed had criminal records, and another 10 of those dead were reported as disappeared by their family members. Among those killed were small business entrepreneurs, a cook, a mechanic, a dentist, a truck driver, and a house painter, among others. According to the testimonies of several family members, a group of heavily armed men abducted several people by force. One of the witnesses said that some teenagers were drinking soda in front of a store when armed men in 2 trucks abducted them. The family of one of the kidnapped victims confessed that their loved one was a teenager without vices or problems, and that the versions of him being part of a cartel are unjust and false. Other families claimed that their loved ones did not have any problems with anybody and were honest workers. Nevertheless, when the cartel members arrested were interrogated by the authorities, they claimed that those killed in the massacre were not innocent, and formed part of Los Torcidos, another name for the Jalisco New Generation cartel. When asked if they had tortured them, the cartel members replied that they did not. One of the killers confessed that he had plans of leaving the criminal organization but was threatened with death by his own organization if he decided to do so. Authorities concluded that this massacre was almost a replica of what happened 2 months earlier in Veracruz, and investigators mentioned that this massacre is a response to the killings done by the Zetas against Los Zetas in the state of Veracruz. 2012 Jalisco massacres. That chopped up remains of 18 bodies were found inside a Toyota Sienna and Ford EcoSport near the U.S. retiree communities in Chapala, Jalisco, just south of the city of Guadalajara. 18 heads were found along the dismembered bodies. Some had been frozen, others were covered in lime, and the rest were found in an advanced state of decomposition. An anonymous call alerted the police to the abandoned vehicles, which were found by the side of a highway early in the morning on the 9th of May 2012. They were consequently towed to government offices to unload the bodies. The authorities confirmed that a message was left behind by the killers, presumably from Los Zetas and the Mileño cartel. The Attorney General of the state of Jalisco, Thomas Coronado Olmos, stated that this massacre was a revenge attack for the 23 killed in the 2012 Nuevo Laredo massacres. In addition, 25 people were rescued after being kidnapped in Tala, Jalisco on the 8th of May 2012. The killers had plans to kill and throw them for public display. Another 10 people managed to escape their capture by members of Los Zetas that same day, and alerted the local media of the situation. Upon the arrest of the 4 alleged killers, one of the cartel members confessed that they had plans to repeat what had happened in the 2011 Guadalajara massacre, where 26 bodies were dumped in a major avenue for public display. That according to Proceso magazine, Los Zetas were planning to kill 50 people on the 9th of May 2012, a day before Mother's Day. Fight against Knights Templar. On the 21st of March 2012, the Zetas uploaded a video on the blog Del Narco. The recording, which is slightly over 4 minutes, shows several men dressed in black, with ski masks and heavily armed. Some of them, apparently the leaders, were sitting down at a table, as has been observed in other videos of the CJNG. In the communique, the men said that they will clean up the states of Guerrero and Michoacan, and informed the federal government, the armed forces, and the federal police that the CJNG has no problems with them. Then they went on to say that the Jalisco New Generation Cartel was going to start a turf war against the Knights Templar cartel, who were reportedly abusing of innocent people and operating through kidnappings, extortion, protection racketeering, property theft, and rape. 2012 Michoacan massacres. Following the message of the Zetas to eradicate the Knights Templar cartel in the state of Michoacan, 21 bodies have been found throughout several different municipalities of the state as of the 12th of April 2012. At the location of the executions, the authorities discovered cardboards signed by the CJNG. 2012 Nuevo Laredo massacres. The 17th of April 2012 massacre. Dismembered remains of 14 men were found in several plastic bags inside a Chrysler Voyager in the border city of Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, on the 17th of April 2012. All of those killed were between the ages of 30 and 35. Officials stated that they found a message signed by a criminal group, but they did not release the content of the note, nor if those killed were members of Los Zetas or of the Gulf Cartel. CNN Mexico stated that the message left behind by the criminal group said that they were going to clean up Nuevo Laredo by killing Zeta members. The Monitor newspaper, however, said that a source outside of law enforcement but with direct knowledge of the attacks stated the 14 bodies belonged to members of Los Zetas who had been killed by the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, now a branch of the Sinaloa cartel. Following the attacks, the Sinaloa cartel's kingpin, Joaquin Guzman Lora, better known as El Chapo Guzman, sent a message to Los Zetas that they will fight for the control of the Nuevo Laredo Plaza. The message read the following: "We have begun to clear Nuevo Laredo of Zetas because we want a free city and so you can live in peace. We are narcotics traffickers and we don't mess with honest working or business people. I'm going to teach these scums to work Sinaloa style, without kidnapping, without payoffs, without extortion. As for you, 40, I tell you that you don't scare me. I know you sent H to toss heads here in my turf, because you don't have the stones nor the people to do it yourself. Don't forget that I'm your true father." Nuevo Laredo is considered a stronghold of Los Zetas, although there were incursions by the Sinaloa cartel in March 2012. Consequently, Los Zetas responded 2 days later with incursions to Sinaloa, the home state of the Sinaloa cartel. The Sinaloa cartel's first attempt to take over Nuevo Laredo happened in 2005, when Los Zetas was working as the armed wing of the Gulf Cartel. Kidnapping of Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar y Ivan Archivaldo Guzman in August 2016 in an upmarket restaurant called La Leche in the resort city of Puerto Vallarta. The CJNG kidnapped 2 sons of Joaquin Guzman Lora, El Chapo, Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar and Ivan Archivaldo Guzman Salazar, along with friends, and then released them after negotiations. The event happened shortly after the incarceration of Chapo Guzman and was seen as a humiliation for the powerful Sinaloa cartel. Insight Crime Analysis. The 40 in the message is a reference to Miguel Trevino Morales, a top leader of Los Zetas based in Nuevo Laredo, and longtime adversary of El Chapo Guzman. The H is presumably Hector Beltran Leyva, the last remaining brother of the Beltran Leyva cartel. The Beltran Leyva organization, unlike the Zetas, has presence in Sinaloa state, and would probably have an easier time attacking the Sinaloa cartel on its own turf. The message does not mention the fact that the Gulf cartel is probably supporting the Sinaloa cartel in carrying out the executions. In addition, the banner suggests that the alliance between Los Zetas and the Beltran Leyva cartel remains intact as of 2012 despite the losses it lived in 2008. The message also suggests the differences in the modus operandi of Los Zetas and the Sinaloa cartel, because as authors of Insight Crime allege, the Zetas have a reputation of operating through extortion, kidnappings, robberies, and other illicit activities. In contrast, the Sinaloa cartel is known simply for drug trafficking. Both assertions are not wholly true, but often reflect a popular sentiment. Guzman attempted to take over Nuevo Laredo after the capture of the Gulf cartel leader, Ogiel Cardenas Gillen, in 2003. Nevertheless, Guzman retreated after a few years of bloody turf wars. The Sinaloa cartel's return to Nuevo Laredo, however, was seen again in March 2012 after Guzman reportedly left several corpses and a message heralding his return. According to the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, Nuevo Laredo is the busiest border crossing in terms of truck crossings with over 1.7 million trucks a year, more than double than any other crossing on the Mexico-United States border. Nuevo Laredo is the fourth busiest border crossing in terms of passenger vehicles. Patrick Corcoran of Insight Crime believes that the turf war in Nuevo Laredo will bring a huge wave of violence, but also mentioned that the circumstances have changed since the split of the Gulf cartel and Los Zetas in early 2010. The current alliance between Guzman's Sinaloa cartel and the Gulf cartel may successfully extract Los Zetas and give El Chapo the upper hand. And once the Sinaloa cartel gets established in Nuevo Laredo, it may possibly make moves to control Reynosa and Matamoros, Tamaulipas. In 2018, Insight also stated that infighting had developed with CJNG by March 2017, which resulted in the killing of a cartel financier and the leader of the CJNG's hit squad. 2018 American Consulate General bombing on December 2, 2018, at approximately 7:30 CST, 2 grenades were thrown onto consular grounds in Guadalajara, with one of them exploding and causing a 16-inch, approximately 40 centimeters, hole in the wall of the building. At the time of the bombing, the Consulate General office was closed and no injuries were sustained. It is unconfirmed if the attack was carried out by the CJNG or a rival gang trying to hurt the CJNG's reputation. Infighting and breakup. In March 2017, infighting within the CJNG showed when El Mancho ordered the murder of high-ranking CJNG member Carlos Enrique Sanchez, alias El Cholo. The plot to murder El Cholo, who was targeted by El Mancho after murdering a CJNG financial operator nicknamed El Colombiano, failed. El Cholo and CJNG co-founder Eric Valencia Salazar, alias L85, departed from the CJNG and formed a new cartel called Nueva Plaza Cartel. Upon its formation, Sanchez was made leader of the newly formed cartel. According to Insight Crime, the Nueva Plaza cartel retaliated against the failed murder of El Cholo by successfully murdering the person in charge of the CJNG's hit squad, nicknamed El Carton or El Maro. In August 2017, Salazar and El Cholo also began a war with their former cartel as well. In 2019, Salazar and El Cholo were still reported to leaders of the breakaway Nueva Plaza cartel. They also were still waging war against the CJNG and had even formed an alliance with the Sinaloa cartel. By 2019, Jorge Luis Mendoza Cardenas, alias La Garra, was listed by the DEA as being in charge of the CJNG's trafficking operations to the United States and serves as the CJNG's liaison as well. In January 2020, senior CJNG hitwoman Maria Guadalupe Lopez Esquive, alias La Catrina, died following a shootout with police. La Catrina, also known as Dame of Death, was suspected of being the CJNG leader in Mexico's Tierra Caliente region. In March 2020, it was announced that a secret 6-month DEA operation known as Operation Python resulted in the arrest of 600 CJNG operatives and the seizure of $20 billion in cash. The number of arrests was revised to 750, though it was still thought the CJNG could still partake in trafficking within the U.S. so long as it keeps its base of operations in Mexico. On June 2, 2020, Mexico's Financial Intelligence Unit released a statement revealing that as a result of joint operation with the DEA, the agency was able to locate a large number of members of said criminal group, as well as its largest financial operators and companies used in money laundering. Mexico's Financial Intelligence Unit, a part of the Finance Ministry tasked with combating and preventing money laundering, then managed to have 1,770 bank accounts of CJNG-linked individuals frozen. Bank accounts to 16 CJNG-linked companies and 2 trusts linked to the CJNG were frozen as well. The move came after armed assailants stormed a live CJNG-provided concert on May 29, 2020 in the Veracruz city of Tierra Blanca, injuring 2 and killing 6. Those killed included the regional CJNG leader, and also owner of the local El Sol de Tierra Blanca newspaper, Francisco Navarrete Serna, and the full lineup of La Calle, the band Serna was performing with. On June 3, it was reported the amount of CJNG-linked assets which were frozen totaled $1.1 billion. On June 11, 2020, Insight crime journalist Victoria Dittmer dismissed media hype that the CJNG was Mexico's dominant cartel, and stated that the CJNG was now in fact losing influence and popularity to smaller cartels. Despite unleashing numerous new generation attacks, Los Viagras and the Cartel del Abuelo were reported as having a profound advantage over new generation in Tierra Caliente. Despite alliances with the weakened Tijuana cartel, the CJNG failed to weaken the Sinaloa cartel's control over criminal activities in Tijuana. Despite numerous efforts, CJNG has also been unable to establish a major presence in the Mexican states of Morelos, State of Mexico, and Mexico City. However, CJNG still had strongholds in the Mexican states of Jalisco, Guanajuato, Querétaro, Hidalgo, and Veracruz. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel also made its presence in Ciudad Juarez with its Juarez cartel, though it failed to deter the hold which La Linea and the Sinaloa cartel's Los Salazar affiliate had over the Ciudad Juarez drug trafficking market as well. On June 23, 2020, it was revealed that the CJNG had sent assassins to kill Santa Rosa de Lima leader Jose Antonio Yepes Ortiz, also known as El Mero, on many occasions, including at his sister's wedding earlier in the year. It was also revealed that the CJNG was struggling to gain influence in territory controlled by the Santa Rosa de Lima cartel. On June 26, 2020, Mexico City Police Chief Omar Garcia Harfuch survived an assassination attempt which saw him suffer injuries from 3 bullet wounds. 2 of his bodyguards and a female pedestrian were killed in the assassination attempt as well. While tweeting from his hospital bed, Garcia blamed the CJNG for the failed attempt on his life and had 12 suspected CJNG members arrested by the end of the day. The same day, it emerged that the CJNG still controlled organized crime in Jalisco, Guanajuato, Querétaro, Hidalgo, but no longer was listed as having such control in any municipality in Veracruz and still was unable to take away territory in other parts of southeastern Mexico controlled by the Sinaloa Cartel, Los Zetas and the so-called Los Pilons group. Arrests on July 13, 2011, Operations Chief and one of the founders of the organization, Martin Arzola Ortega, was arrested. On August 7, 2012, it was announced that Ortega's successor, Elliot Alberto Rey de Lopeza, was captured in the Zapopan, Jalisco. At the time of Peza's arrest, it was announced that 12 suspected members of the Jalisco Nueva Generacion cartel, including leaders Martin Arzola and Abundio Mendoza Gayton, had been arrested since July 2011 on extortion, kidnapping and drug charges. On March 9, 2012, another founder of the organization, Eric Valencia Salazar, alias L85, was captured by the Mexican army along with another high-ranking lieutenant in Zapopan, Jalisco. Their apprehensions prompted over a dozen blockades throughout the city. 26 public transportation buses were burned with gasoline and then used to block the city streets. More than 30 assault rifles, grenades, cartridges, and ammunition magazines were confiscated. Felipe Calderón, the president of Mexico, congratulated the Mexican army for the capture of Eric Valencia Salazar. The Zetas, CJNG, later apologized for the blockades by putting up several banners throughout the Guadalajara metropolitan area. They wrote that the blockades were only a reaction for messing with their CJNG companion, who reportedly dedicated his work to maintain tranquility in the state of Jalisco. On the 18th of March 2012, Jose Guadalupe Serna Padilla, another ranking lieutenant in the cartel, was captured along with another cartel member as well. On the 15th of April 2012, Marco Antonio Reyes, reported to be the head of the cartel's gunmen, was captured in Veracruz along with 5 of his associates. The arrests also led to the capture of 3 other cartel members, including the head of the cartel's operations in the Veracruz cities of Veracruz and Boca del Rio. On the 30th of January 2014, Mexican authorities arrested Ruben Osgaro Gonzalez, alias El Menchito, the second-in-command in the cartel and the son of Nemesio Osgaro Cervantes, the organization's leader. On the 1st of May 2015, a Mexican army helicopter was shot at and forced to land in what Jalisco's Governor Aristotle Sandoval described as a reaction to an operation to detain leaders of this cartel. On the 28th of May 2018, they arrested Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, who is the wife of Cervantes. In July 2018, Mexican authorities arrested Jose Guadalupe Rodriguez Castillo, alias L15, a local leader of the cartel. His arrest is related to the disappearance of 3 Italian businessmen in the southern Jalisco town of Tecolitlan in January 2018. In March 2019, a senior CJNG leader, who chose to remain anonymous and was only identified as L20, was arrested by Mexican authorities. L20, who remained anonymous, was second in command to the CJNG. More than 80 elements of 41 military zone, as well as the Navy, and the federal police, as well as 4 CJNG members who also remained anonymous, were also arrested with L20. In April 2019, Adrian Alonso Guerrero Covarrubias, known as L8 or LM, was arrested for drug trafficking and kidnapping. Guerrero served as head of the cartel's operations in the Ciénaga and northern Los Altos regions in Jalisco and all of southeastern Guanajuato, and is the godson to cartel leader Nemesio Osgaro Cervantes. On March 11, 2020, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, arrested 600 people and seized more than 1.5 tons of narcotics. This is the DEA's largest ever strike against CJNG. The number of arrests was revised to 750, with 250 arrests occurring in the United States. On April 10, 2020, El Mencho's Chicago area Lieutenant Louis Alderate was arrested. Other high-level associates of El Mencho prosecuted in Chicago include Diego Pineda Sanchez, sentenced to 15 years in prison for laundering money for him and other drug kingpins. Alderate's brother Roberto Alderate was arrested in Kentucky in 2018 with 2 pounds of methamphetamine. On April 11, 2020, CJNG cell leader Maria del Carmen Albarrán was arrested in the Venustiano Carranza borough of Mexico City. In May 2020, it was reported that former CJNG security chief Enrique Alejandro Pizano, who was arrested in September 2015, died in a Jalisco prison on May 13, 2020 due to COVID-19. On June 28, 2020, it was reported that the number of CJNG members arrested for the June 26, 2020 assassination attempt of the Mexican City Police chief had grown to 19. On July 1, 2020, it was announced that CJNG hitman Jamie Tofola Ortega, aka El Lacran, the Scorpion, was arrested on June 28, 2020. According to a statement released by the Mexican Attorney General's office, he is suspected of gunning down Judge Uriel Villegas Ortiz and his wife, Veronica Barajas, on June 16, 2020 and leading the April 29, 2020 abduction of Colima State Representative Ana Bueno Sanchez, whose body was found in a clandestine grave on June 2, 2020. Judge Villegas had gained notoriety in 2018 when he ordered the transfer of Ruben Oscar Gonzalez from a jail in Oaxaca to a maximum security prison in Jalisco. A second suspect was arrested with Tofola, though he has not yet been charged. See also: Mexican Drug War May Reader Initiative War on Drugs. References